Hi, I'm Atticus Reffner, and this is my science fair project. So my science fair project is about organic composting versus inorganic fertilizers and their effects on the plant production of sweet corn. So for the past few years that I've been doing science fair, all of my projects have been agriculturally related, mainly around composting. And from all of my previous experiments, I've learned that composting breads and vegetables together is the best thing to add to the soil to increase plant production and maintain a healthy plant. So in my experiment this year, I'm going to test to see whether composting breads and vegetables is better or worse or the same to adding inorganic fertilizers to the soil, which is the traditional method of farming right now. So my hypothesis is if I compost breads and vegetables and run one row of sweet corn, add inorganic fertilizers to another row of sweet corn, and have a third row of sweet corn with nothing added to it as a control, then the segment of sweet corn with just breads and vegetables added to it will have the greatest increase in plant production, because the inorganic compounds from the breads and vegetables will be more easily taken in by the plants than the inorganic compounds from the inorganic fertilizers. So the first thing I did for this project was I rototilled all the soil in a new plot of land to ensure all of the soil was level and aerated and that there are no rocks or anything in it. I then measured out 3 equal rows and dug furrows to plant seeds in. And I made sure to plant exactly 50 seeds in each of these 3 different rows. I then covered up those seeds with the soil I just dug up, and then throughout my project I collected my household waste of breads and vegetables and made sure to keep the same amount of inorganic fertilizers as I did the breads and vegetables. And the way I added the breads and vegetables to the rows of sweet corn was I weighed, added water, and pureed the food waste before directly adding it to the soil. And I did this by digging furrows by each of the rows of sweet corn before directly adding the puree of food waste or the inorganic fertilizers, and then covering the designated rows back up with the soil I just dug up. And throughout this project, I measured all the plants' heights, numbers of ears of corn per plant, and overall harvest weight. And at the end of my experiment, I compiled the results to determine what had the greatest effect on plant production. And in my chart right here, you can see the 3 different rows indicate the 3 different segments I had, being breads and vegetables, controls, and fertilizers. And the 5 different rows indicate the specific categories I tested for. And all the highlighted numbers indicate which of the specific rows of corn did best in each of the specific categories. So you can see the bread and vegetable segment had the highest number of plants produced at 50, had the highest number of ears produced at 43, which is almost twice as much as the control segment did, and had the highest total segment weight at 7,166 grams. And the fertilizer segment had the highest average weight in grams per ear at 187.1 grams, and the highest average harvest weight per plant at 156.7 grams. And then these 2 charts at the bottom are just another visual representation of the average harvest weight per plant and average harvest weight per ear and segment. And as I just stated, you can see that the fertilizer segment had the highest in both of those specific categories, shortly followed behind by the bread and vegetable segment. So in my results, after 105 days or 15 weeks, and just over 21 kilograms or around 47 pounds of composted food, here's a brief explanation of my results. In the bread and vegetable segment, all 50 of the seeds that I planted grew into a full adult plants. And of those 50 plants, only 40 of those plants produced any corn. And of those 40 plants, they created a total of 43 ears, totaling 7,166 grams of edible corn. In the control segment, only 41 of the seeds that I planted grew into adult stalks of corn. And of those 41 plants, only 21 of the plants produced any ears of corn. And only 21 of those plants produced any corn. And of those 21 plants, they produced a total of 22 ears, totaling 2,609 grams of edible corn. And in the fertilizer segment, once again, only 41 of the seeds that I planted grew into full adult stalks of corn. But of those 41 plants, only 24 of those plants produced any corn. And from those 24 plants, they created a total of 35 ears, totaling 6,548 grams of edible corn. So, in conclusion, my hypothesis was correct. Composting breads and vegetables together did do the best in increasing plant production. But what I learned from this project was that composting the breads and vegetables together did the best for increasing the number of plants that stayed alive and healthy, increased the total number of ears produced, and increased the total amount of total segment weight. But composting the inorganic fertilizers, or adding the inorganic fertilizers to the soil, did better in creating more larger ears of corn, which in turn gave it the highest average harvest weight in grams per ear and highest average harvest weight per plant. And in these three photos are just the actual visual representation of all the amount of ears of corn that were produced. And you can see that the compost segment very clearly had the largest amount of ears produced. But the fertilizer segment, as I said, had the ears of corn be way larger than the control and the compost segment. But, once again, in conclusion, my hypothesis was correct. Composting breads and vegetables together did do the best in increasing plant production. And since I'm so concerned about the environment, I'm going to continue to find natural methods of increasing plant production so that producing more food is safer and easier and healthier. And after listening to my presentation, I hope if you have a garden of your own or anywhere to garden or compost, I hope you take it upon yourself to help compost and lower our carbon footprint. And I can't wait to answer any questions or concerns that you may have when you guys call me.
Next time.
Next time when I do this, I plan on creating a combination or multiple combinations of adding breads and vegetables together, along with the inorganic fertilizers to create the best balance of both the two so that the inorganic fertilizers still help the plants without hurting them. Thank you.